Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the RDFL Footy Show. We're back and we're here to preview all of the big finals action in the Riddle District Football Netball League starting this weekend. What a big week it's going to be. Shaun Kelly's my name. Joining me as always, my co-host Chris Hang on, that's not Chris Yeendy. The finals are here and Yeendy's not. What is going on? Could not find the lad. So we've brought in a man very, very experienced and very much qualified to take the co-host position this week. The RDFL's Football Development Manager for AFL Victoria, Grant McMillan. Macca, welcome to the Footy Show, mate. Making your debut in the finals time. We always said you're a big game player.
Thanks, Shaun, and thanks for having me along. I must admit I haven't seen an awful lot of RDFL football this year due to other commitments on weekends, but certainly from following things week to week through records and on the websites, promises to be a very good final series.
Yeah, it should be an absolute ripper we're leading ourselves in for. But before we do, we're going to analyse how the top six fell the way it did, because probably didn't quite work out the way that we thought it would last week. But we're going to spare you that task from having a look at that, because we have found Chris Yeendy. He has dialed it in. He was sitting out in the middle of Boardman Reserve. I think he got his wires crossed and went to Sunbury, not Melton, for the show this week. So we're going to cross out to Boardman Reserve. Our man Chris Yeendy is out there and he's going to have a look at the top six and the way that things fell and how Wallen ended up making up all that percentage to fall into sixth spot.
We're here on location over at the home of the 2016 RDFNL qualifying final, the Sunbury Kangaroos, and that was certainly a big talking point this past weekend as we spoke about the build-up to the top six. Sunbury Kangaroos inflicted Diggers Rest's first loss of the season, but unfortunately it wasn't enough to get the job done and get them into the finals. As we spoke about in the past, there was three teams that were contesting for a spot in the top six, and it was Wallen, Lancefield and the Sunbury Kangaroos that were battling it out. The Boroughs, they were left to fight another day. They've set up a qualifying final on this very deck against Macedon this week, but they had a tough job against the Sunbury Kangaroos, who were determined to keep their finals hopes alive, and unfortunately, due to an administration error at the start of the season, it may have cost them a spot in the finals when all is said and done. So the Kangaroos will go in full of confidence next year ahead of their preparations. But all the games this past weekend had a fair bit to do with what was going to shape with the top six, and Highlands FM team were over at Macedon, Wood End Heskett v Macedon over at the GGO, which of course Sunday afternoon football is going to be big this coming weekend. The Cats had the job ahead of them. They pushed hard, they tried hard, the Hawks wouldn't go away. A shot at goal from Ross Slight late in the third term would have had the margin in single figures, but the Cats held firm and went on to win. Dan Markworth absolutely outstanding. Broadford celebrated a victory against the spirited Melton Central's outfit to move to third spot on the ladder on the back of Rupertswood beating Riddle for the second time this season. And all questions remain. Can they do it a third when it counts at the business end of the season? We'll be keeping an eye on that one this weekend. But the Sharks, they were in great form. And the great man, Billy Canello, he was in fine touch there for the Sharks, kicking a number of goals and setting up a few and having a really good day at the office. James Nolan kicked 4 for the Bombers in what was a disappointing day for them. And their preparations heading into the finals, they're 0-2. The Sharks, on the other hand, 2-0. Wallen secured their place in the 2016 finals with a big win over Rockbank that just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. They ended up winning that one by 300 points to make up a significant amount of percentage. In fact, 25% in one game. That is enormous. And on their home deck in front of their adoring fans, a great chance to set them up for a big game this weekend where they take on Broadford in that what promises to be an absolute blockbuster over at the GGO. So it was all happening last weekend, and when we speak about rivals going head to head, it was Romsey and Lancefield over at Lancefield Park that made things extremely interesting, because the Redbacks, they stormed away in the second half to beat the Tigers and knock them out of the finals hunt, thanks to one Nathan Raymond kicking 5 goals in a blistering performance there by the man they refer to as Ned Kelly. So the two-time defending reigning premiers finished the season on a high by knocking out their crosstown rival there in Lancefield and preventing their premiership dreams. So certainly a big round of football. Round 17 in the RDFNL sets up a bumper final series. Make sure if you're around the grounds over at the Sunbury Kangaroos, this very deck, on Saturday, and you're over at the GGO at Woodend on Sunday. Tune in from 9:30am because Highlands FM, we're going all out. We're broadcasting every single football game over the course of that period. So 6 games this weekend, live football and plenty of netball updates and plenty of excitement coming there from well. So we are going to lift the bar here on Highlands FM. So if you're heading out, again, to the Sunbury Kangaroos and the Woodend, 100.7 FM is where you'll catch all the action. Live play-by-play, all that you need to know about the day. So we're very much looking forward to it. And if round 17 was anything to go by, the first week of the finals is going to be an absolute cracker.
Chris Yeendy, thank you very much, sir, out at Boardman Reserve, and it is pretty remarkable the way that 6th position worked out. The Sunbury Kangaroos probably have every right to feel a little bit stiff. They did what no one else has done this year and defeated Diggers Rest. They had a 13% percentage gap on Wallen going into the day, and then Wallen kicked 48 goals, make up 24%, and find themselves in the finals.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Jumped from 7th to 6th, but to make up that 25%, and then Sunbury Kangaroos did all the right things.
Exactly right.
They were led all day at every change, and unfortunately, some of the other results didn't fall their way.
That's not a good feeling, is it? When you're doing everything that you can, you're putting yourself in the position, and then you see the results come through, and a team's just gone absolutely bananas and jumped over the top of you, and you're thinking, which god did we anger? Which footy god did we anger?
Especially to defeat a team that hasn't been beaten all year.
Exactly.
But, if I was Shaun Sims, I wouldn't read too much into that. I mean, they're probably coming into a finals preparation, they're probably going through a pretty heavy training load.
Yep.
And, they've got the bigger picture to look at. Whilst you don't want to get too many weeks ahead of you coming up to finals, they've certainly got their sights set on the bigger picture.
And we know that they're going to have at least 2 weeks of finals to play by virtue of their finishing position. But before we go on to that, what we're going to do over the next few weeks is we're also going to have another expert joining the show, the great man himself, Brian Nabby McNabb, from out at Melton Toyota. Not only is he going to have a deal with us on a very special Nabby's Car of the Week each week throughout the finals, but we'll also get some wisdom from him, of course. Not too many men know footy better than our man Nabby. So we're going to cross out to Melton Toyota, where I caught up with him earlier in the week for Nabby's Car of the Week. Let's see what the great man has to say. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're here at Melton Toyota for the first of our 4 Nabby's Car of the Week segments. It's going to run throughout the final series. We've got the great man with us, Brian McNabb, from here at Melton Toyota. Beautiful establishment that it is. Nab, how are you today, mate?
Always good, thanks, Shawnee. Always good.
Business going well?
Yeah, it's been a bit tough this month, one reason or another, but certainly people coming in. We got rid of a couple today. It's picking up well.
That's good to hear. Obviously, finals time, fair bit of excitement around. The weather's getting a bit better. Obviously, your Central's not in the finals at this stage. We're down to 6 teams. We've gone from 12 to 6. Who do you like at this stage of the game?
Well, geez, people are talking Diggers, but I reckon there's a little smoky just in the background. The college, I call it, the college, well coached.
Yes.
Right time of the year, they're performing well. Got some good leg speed, and I reckon by the time they put it together, if things fall their way, they're a real chance.
Need to get over a bit of a hoodoo. Yet to win a finals game in 3 years in the RDFL, so need to get over that first to do that. But you're tipping that if they can do that, then there might be a little bit happening down at Rupert's Wood.
I reckon they get over that hurdle, and we'll be surprised they could go all the way.
Very interesting words indeed. Not impressed with Diggers Rest at the moment?
Oh, no. Simsy, 300 games. Probably carried himself for a while there. Sorry, Simsy. No, not at all. No, they're a good side, but like sometimes you do like to look outside the blinkers a bit, and I reckon the college is just looking outside the blinkers at the moment.
Well, before you get us thrown off the air by just throwing barbs in the way of the Diggers Rest Footy Club, Nab, we've got a car obviously here for the RDFL fans. Tell us about Nabby's Car of the Week for this week.
Yeah, very simple actually. It suits everyone within the Riddle district. 2012 Hilux. Basically one with the lot, meaning snorkel, canopy, alloyed wheels, tow bar, high-raised canopy. It's an auto, sat-nav, you name it, it's on this particular vehicle.
Sounds good.
Excellent case, excellent condition. The lovely bloke that owned it was a local and just up-traded to a new car. 212, one with the lot, drive away, 42,990, normally 45,990, as you do in this business, $3,000 through to the keeper, and away we go from there.
And of course, with that as well, money back to your RDFL club, $250 back to the RDFL club. Present your little card that's on the screen at the moment. We'll get that money back to the club as well.
Yeah, well, that's going to be, exciting times, as we know, with the finals on, and the offer from Grant is still open. So $5,000 in simple terms to the club that sells the most cars. I know it's Central's, but we can't go there, and no sour grapes, all good.
Only got 4 weeks left to do it as well, so make sure you get in now. You could win your club $5,000 for the next season. Well, Nab, we're going to make this a weekly segment going forward throughout the finals, so thank you for joining us. Before you go, though, obviously a lot of people out in the footy world will know that you have fallen on some hard times fairly recently, and I know everybody within the RDFL from a staff executive point of view wish you all the very, very best for what's going on at the moment. We hope you're back up on your feet. We noticed that you've obviously lost a tie and you're wearing a black shirt, so there's still a little bit of mourning going on, but mate, from everyone at the RDFL, we want to see you back on your feet and back up in the normal Nabby that we know and love very, very soon.
Shaun, I do appreciate those words, and everyone from the RDFL and outside as well. But not being biased, but Central's did something very special on last Thursday night for myself, and the respect that they've earned as a club and what they actually did for me was excellent. But that's enough about me. I just wish all the sides in the finals. I'm probably only envious that Central's aren't there, but I wish every club all the best. They're all well coached. They're well administrated, and probably the right clubs are playing off in the finals when you analyse it from that point of view.
I think
just in a word, wish them all the best. It's going to be exciting times, and the RDFL is playing some very good football at the moment as a league, and hopefully it's a nice and easy finals campaign for everyone concerned.
Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, mate. So come down here to Melton Toyota, 2012 Hilux, the car of the week. Nabby's just shaving $3,000. His commission basically going off the price of the car, so you're getting it for a steal. We'll be back next week with more from here at Melton Toyota. We'll get Nabby in. We might even get the boss down for one of the Nabby's car of the weeks leading into the finals, mate. So from all of us here, well done. Great work. Thanks for having me back up on your feet. We'll see you next week.
Good on you. All the best to everyone, including the umpires as well.
Good job. Brian McNabb, our man Nabby, with his car of the week. You need new Hilux? Because that one is going as cheap as chips.
I don't need a new car actually at the moment. AFL Victoria gives me one, which is fantastic.
Well,
But
lucky for some. There is our. That's a nice one, wasn't it, mate? You've been on the end of the, I suppose, the inauguration, if you will.
What sort of production are we running here?
It happens every time to the newbies. Don't worry, they get it every time. So it actually wasn't Rod Ward doing it this time, which is the first time for a while. But as we were saying, obviously fantastic by Melton Toyota. If you are in the market for a new car, 4 weeks to go, $250 from your purchase goes back to your club, and of course, the club with the most purchases wins $5,000 for next year as well. So if you're thinking of buying a car, now is the time to get down to Melton Toyota. You could win your club $5,000.
That's less raffles and barbecues and other fundraising activities that you have to run.
Exactly.
$5,000, nothing to be sneezed at.
Not at all, indeed. Speaking of nothing to be sneezed at, is the finals time here in the RDFL. We kick it off this weekend with qualifying final day at Eric Boardman Reserve. I think Yeendy just wanted to get there early, so he was in time for the qualifying finals. In the under-18s, it's Rupertswood taking on Diggers Rest. The reserves is Diggers Rest versus Macedon, as is the senior game. Diggers Rest taking on Macedon. In the qualifying final, this will be a good game, and really the two best teams of the year featuring in this. They've been 1 and 2 for most of the season so far, and quite rightly have earned themselves a double chance in the finals this year, Macca.
Yeah, they have. Two very well credentialed sides. When you look at players like Hine, Morton, Evans, Brandon Kildee.
Yep.
The first three have all been AFL listed players, and then you look at experienced heads like Tucky and these sort of guys. I suppose a big question mark is what's Jason Williams' availability. Because that adds another dimension in terms of
still a VFL round to play this week as well, home and away round. So Port Melbourne will be in action.
Yeah, so that adds another dimension in terms of goal kicking options because he's a pretty focal point for them in the forward line. Yep. But interestingly, they've got a pretty good spread of goal kickers. Diggers Rest. I actually did do a bit of research before I came on at short notice, Shaun.
That's the first time this year.
Found that they haven't actually got a goal kicker in the top 10 goal kickers in the league.
Interesting.
Diggers Rest. So
they have in past years relied on the Brett Tuckies and the Luke Smaleses and those kind of guys to really kick them winning scores. That's a fantastic stat. Really good research.
So they've got a good spread of goal kickers, and that shows that they've got many avenues to goal. So and that's what you need in finals. You can't just focus your setup around, one or two players. There's others that have got to step up, and then, you've got an experienced player like Jamie Lobb, who certainly knows where the goals are.
Certainly does.
And gets in the right spots. So they've got a really good chance of going straight through here.
They do indeed, but they take on a Macedon side that's been in pretty good nick this year, and obviously have done some very good recruiting over the off-season, and now blokes like Tommy Waters, Casey Summerfield, Matty Knox, well and truly established in that side. And they're led by a pretty smart operator at the top as well, and Jeff Andrews.
Yeah, he's a smart coach and a good tactician, Joffa. And I suppose it's just, the question is, what's the injury toll going to have on them? And I was actually talking to Jeff the other night, and he said they've copped a few injuries and long-term injuries throughout the year, and some other unavailability. So it promises to be a great game, and I suppose there'll be a bit of a changing dimension for Shaun Sims, has predominantly been a playing coach in past seasons, and now he's going to take that on-bench coaching role. So it gives him a different perspective, looking at rather than coaching the side and having to get a kick at the same time, he can sit back and look at the game unfold and make the necessary adjustments. But, when you've had injuries, I guess that's a test of the depth of your list. And time will tell on Saturday as to whether Macedon have got enough depth and firepower to get over the top of Diggers Rest.
Which way are you tipping on this?
I'm actually going to go with Macedon, Shaun. Like I said, he's a smart coach and a good tactician, Joffa. He certainly won't have shown all his cards yet, but I think they can cause a bit of an upset.
It's almost a nothing to lose kind of game for Macedon, isn't it? Because most people will be expecting Diggers Rest to win this. If they lose, there is a next week, so they can just back themselves in.
Yep, correct. And I think it's been interesting. A lot of the sides who are involved in finals, due to the conditions of their own ground, seeking other venues to train on. I know here at Arnold's Creek, certainly Riddle and Macedon have been training here regularly, so it'll probably be good for the boys to play on a deck at Boardman where they can run on top of the ground, and obviously the fitness work that they'll have had to put in the 5 or 6 weeks leading up to the finals. It'll be an interesting contest.
Certainly will indeed, as it will be the day out at Wallen at Green Hill Reserve on Saturday afternoon as well. First elimination final, the 4v5 games for the most part. In the under-18s, it's Macedon versus Broadford. In the reserves, it's Rupertswood versus Riddle, which is actually the 3v6 game. It's been transferred to keep the footy together because the senior game is Riddle taking on Rupertswood. This will be a very interesting game as well. Both teams have shown signs throughout the year that they should be in the top two. Both teams have also shown signs of weakness throughout the year, which makes me think this is going to be an absolute ripper. Riddle know how to win finals. Rupertswood yet to win a final in their 4th year in the RDFL, but if ever there's a year they're going to break that hoodoo, I think this is it.
Yeah, I mean, Riddle ran Diggers Rest at their home ground fairly closely recently, and when you've got a bloke that's, kicks, Brian Ruffles kicks 70-odd goals, Hayden Ross is capable of kicking goals, and Ben said certainly in the top 6 or 7 goal kickers in the league with 30-odd. He knows where the goals are, and then you've got players like Daniel and Paul Salberg. So they've played a lot of kids this year, Riddle, which is good, which will stand them in good stead for the future. And I know sort of Jamie Elliott's on a bit of a path where he hasn't put all his eggs in the one basket in the first year, but he's an experienced coach as well.
Yeah, he has had a lot of finals experience.
Yeah, at both BFL level, and he was an assistant to Rick Horde at Sunbury last year. So, in terms of that, they'll be a well-prepared side to go in, and conversely, Rupertswood have got their share of terrific players as well, with Brett Chambers and Brent Swallow and young Todd Podolzak and that. So, once again, I think this will be a close game, but I just think Riddle's youth and their firepower would kick them a winning score. Yeah,
look, I seem to think that Riddle is more the team that when they're on, they're more capable of kicking the winning score than Rupertswood. If the game's a close one, I can see Rupertswood getting over the line, but if Riddle really kick early and kick away early on, I think Rupertswood's going to find it hard to reel them in. So the first quarter, I think, is going to be crucial in this one. Yeah,
they're probably another side that's had difficulty training on their own venue as well, Rupertswood. But
they had a game moved from there a couple of weeks
back. But Kevin Fitzgerald's also an experienced coach who's tasted premiership success along the way. So he'll have his side well prepared to meet their finals campaign head on.
He will indeed. And then on Sunday, second elimination final day up at the Gilbert Gordon Oval up in Woodend. Great to see the GGO being used for finals after, of course, not being used at all last year. In the 19s, it's Woodend Heskett taking on Wallen. In the reserves, it's the Sunbury Kangaroos taking on Wallen. And then the seniors, Broadford taking on Wallen. Great to see Wallen represented in all three grades this weekend. And as we mentioned before, by virtue of that 48 goal day last week and that 5% markup in their percentage, getting them into the finals, going to ride a big wave of emotion with that, I think, and they'll get some confidence from that. They're going to need it because Broadford have won 12 games in a row, got themselves into third spot. If any team knows the perils of taking it easy when you're sitting in third spot and getting upset by the sixth team, it is Broadford, because they finished sixth last year, knocked over third in the first week of the finals and got to a preliminary final as a result of it. So there's absolutely no doubt that they will not be taking this easily at all.
No, yeah. I mean, to tell you the truth, I don't know too much about these two sides, but, Nolan kicked 10 last week. Against Rockbank. Rex Heppy has kicked 40-odd goals.
And has been their focal point all year, Sammy Rex Heppy.
Yeah, so, I mean, Broadford have also got experienced heads when you look at their list with, Brody Holland, Lance Paccioni. Romniak is a terrific player as well. And then lucky enough midway through the year to get the services of Rex Hickman from Melton Central. So...
Also, Cam Dawson, who's played in a couple of premierships with Romsey in the last couple of years as well, so knows how to operate at this time of year.
Yeah, so that gives them, some real firepower up forward. And then Dean Helmers has obviously got some good coaching experience with premierships in the league as well. So, they're probably the form team of the competition when you look at it, Broadford, with the games that they've continued to win, and they've won both at home and on the road. So... third place. I mean, it's a sudden death semi-final, but I would like to think that they could get over Wallen pretty comfortably.
I would like to think that Broadford will win this as well, and they know that if they win this game from here, it all opens up for them, because they go into a second semi-final and all of a sudden they get two cracks at making a grand final, which is exactly what you want, to be able to get through that and have two chances to play off in the grand final, and know that on the second semi-final day, if things don't go right, you've got another crack at it. Yeah,
look, it's really important to get a double chance when you're playing in finals. Anything can happen on any given day. I mean, we saw that with the Boomers in their Olympic campaign, going along swimmingly, beat Serbia in the group.
We saw it with Romsey last year. They finished fourth. They just got over the final against Macedon, and then things went their way. They got the double chance, went into a second semi-final, and now they've got a flag hanging on the wall because of it. Yeah, so, I mean, it's good to get that double chance, but if you're going to win flags, you've just got to make your chances count when you get them. Exactly.
It's no use relying on being able to get a double chance to win a flag. You've got to be hitting your straps at this time of the year, because this is when it matters most, and there's more on the line and more at stake. So you've got to be putting your best foot forward come this time of year.
Going to be a very interesting weekend of football throughout the Riddle District Football and Netball League. 6 teams this week, only 4 next week that we'll be talking about here on the RDFL Footy Show. And I reckon, Grant McMillan, you might have earned yourself a free pass into next week as well. Done some research, which is always a tick in my book, because it doesn't happen that much on here. Thank you for joining us today, mate. Absolutely fantastic performance.
Just wondering if the camera angle will be wide enough for the three of us.
I think it still might be 2. I've got a feeling, Yeendy, if he can't find his way here for the first week of the finals, he might be a casualty, and he might not get into the second week.
And then, of course, if he brings Killer with him, that's another one.
Exactly right. Well. We've had that this year, the Killer sitting on Yeendy's knee throughout the year, so be very interesting to see. Thanks for joining us, Macca. It's been a pleasure having you here, mate.
Thanks for having me along, Shaun.
And thank you for joining us as well on the RDFL Footy Show. Week 1 of the finals. We'll see you next week.